Yeah. Ray, I just got rid of because I told him I'd had discussions on what to do. What happened with him is at a certain point when he put together these two things in a kind of a 4-day period. What sort of sealed his fate is I told him, if you're going to come on my show, you must prepare with some stories, some old school stories, some stories, perhaps ones I can't remember that you remember that you could regale us with, what have you. Because the audience likes the old stories of the old days, and don't make me prompt you with everything. I mean, sit down, write something down, or give it some thought, or whatever it is. And I think he came on, and I've asked him that every time he's done everything, and Ray just doesn't do whatever you ask him to do, like pretty consistently and over. You can do it over the course of years. This is not, he suffers from this. Many people I know suffer from this. So he came on this show on a Sunday, and I showed up, and I said, what do you got prepared for the show? And he did what he always does, which is, nothing. What do you want? You want to think of something? And I go, what I want you to do is prepare something and have it ready to come on the show. And he didn't. And then he went on the cruise with us about 4 days later, and I walked up to him before the show, and I said, you ready to go on stage? He said, yep. And I said, what do you got? And he said, I lost my key on the ship. And I said, what old school story do you have? Hold on. And he said, I don't have anything. And I said, well, then sit down, and I'll go up on stage without you. And I did, and I said, I don't know how much more of that I went in 2018. And so I got rid of him.
It's hard to take, though, because it's one of those things where we know that you don't prepare all the time before you go on stage either, but it doesn't give him a pass for 20 years of not preparing. We get it.
Look, people have a very bizarre, very, 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 very inconvenient and fucking bizarre a version of what I do. First off, I walk on a fucking stage with 2 buck slips filled with jokes and notes that I created on the goddamn flight from L.A. to Miami that day, knowing I'm going up on stage that night. I don't ask anyone to do anything I either don't do or haven't done a shitload of. Right. And if I sound pissed off, it's because I am. Because I've taken hundreds of improv classes. Shut up. I've taken hundreds of improv classes. I've written down hundreds of jokes. I have hundreds of buck slips. I walk around all day because I look at it as my job, that people paid good money for a ticket. They've showed up, and I'll be goddamn if I'm going to walk up on stage and scratch my head and go, oh, geez, what's going on out there? And, by the way, this is coming from a guy who can do it. I can do it. Ray can't do it. I can do it, and I still show up with multiple buck slips filled with not 2 ideas, 23 ideas of things I want to talk about up on stage. And if you listen to the show that day of what went on that cruise ship, the first 40 minutes of the show were things that happened to me on the ride over, on the flight over, literally the day before or that day that took place on the plane or whatever it is, because no matter how early it is, no matter how early I got up, no matter how early the flight, I got picked up to make that goddamn flight out of LAX. I got picked up at my house at 4:30 in the morning. 4:30 in the morning for like a 7 a.m. flight or 6 a.m. flight into Miami. When I got off that goddamn plane in Miami, I had a full buck slip of ideas because, as good as I am, I value my audience, and I'm not going to get up there and mail it in. They came on this cruise, they bought a ticket, they showed up to the auditorium, and they deserve the respect of somebody who's going to get up there and not waste their time sorting out thoughts in front of them. And I told Ray multiple times, you owe them that respect too. And he decided not to, which is his decision. Yeah. And he's allowed to make whatever decision he wants. But about the 26th time he's made the decision and chose not to go along the path that I've laid out for him, well, then it's my decision to part ways with him. And anyone who ever says to me, that's got to be rough, or he didn't want this. Yes, he did. Of course he wanted this. You would not
he
act
had it
this way
easy.
if you didn't want this. If you didn't want this, people can say this all the time. Oh, he didn't want to get divorced. Yeah, but he checked out, stopped talking to his wife, stopped having sex with his wife, stopped going to dinner with his wife, stopped asking his wife. He did want divorce. She's the one who got divorced, but he wanted it. He checked out of a marriage 5 years ago. Don't tell me he didn't want this.
Otherwise.
That's right. It's your actions. It's your actions. So I'm tired of everyone's like, sorry, but I'm tired of, it's Adam's way or the highway or whatever. No, it's Adam's way or the highway 26 times, and then it's the highway on the 27th time. That's Adam's way. And Chris was there, and Gary was there, and those guys have been there, where I've said, what do you have? You don't walk up on stage. What have you written down? What are our options? What do we have? It's like, I don't know. What do you want to do? Like, forget it. What are we wasting on? And I'm not doing him any favors. Why? What is he doing? Not to mention just the whole thing where he went to go get the money and wanted to get paid and just all this insanity. I am so tired of here's what I'm tired of. I'm tired of saying, look, I, as the person who knows what I'm doing with this and have had success in doing this, and I'm going to be generous, and I'm going to share my time, and I'm going to share my wisdom, and I'm going to share my knowledge with you. I do it 25 times. You reject it 24 and a half times. And on the 26th time, you get shit canned, and our society turns us into, he's just a hard ass. He wants his own way. He doesn't want anyone else up there. No. It's quite the opposite.
Some of it is...
It's quite the opposite.
We'll talk about this on Friday.
How dare everyone.
Some of it is that thing you and I were talking about on the phone the other day, which the people's self-concept is so distorted. I'm the guy who, fill in the blank, and then but you're not that guy.
Ray is a Mason who's not very good on his feet on stage, because why should he be very good on stage on his feet? That takes thousands of hours of standing there. So when the guy who is good at it suggests you take improv classes and you get a steno pad and write down a few ideas before you get up on stage to aid, it's not going to make you Jerry Seinfeld, but it will help you get much better at this thing that you purport to want to do. Well, when you do none of it, then that's on you. It's not on the guy who makes his living doing it. And that is your discussion. And yes, we're living in a very weird time where
Friday we'll talk about
reality is not connecting.
Yeah.
All right, we'll talk about it.